Before North Central Cardinal basketball tips off, WONC Sports has your pregame show right here on FM 89. And that pregame show starts right now.
Fans, welcome back into Game Day on FM 89. That's right, you get one more with us here on WONC Sports. North Central men's basketball taking their turn this time here in Elmhurst from RNA Faganal Hall on the campus of Elmhurst University. It's your 5-9 North Central Cardinals, 3-2 in CCIW play, should I add, taking on the number 17 ranked team in the nation, the Elmhurst Blue Jays, entering today 12-1 and undefeated in conference play. 4-0. They're also undefeated here in this gym. Andy Jachim, Sam Corbett here with you. And before we look into the Jays and the Cards and how they stack up entering today's contest, let's take a look at the all-time matchup history between these two squads. The Cards are 110-69 coming into this matchup dating back to 1930. They're 60-30 in Naperville, 49-37 on the road here in Elmhurst. They're currently on a 2-game losing streak to the Jays. Sam, when we look at this Elmhurst team, they just lost their first game of the season back on the 30th, a week ago, Saturday by 3 to a really strong Whitworth team. What are we looking at with them?
Well, overall, going back to the team as a whole, top CCIW offense, 80.2 points per game for the Blue Jays. And the second-ranked D only allowing 66.5 points per game. There's a reason they're a top 25 team, and in my opinion, they're the new face of the CCIW over Illinois Wesleyan. As a team so far this year, they're shooting 48% from the field, 37% from beyond the arc, and 71% from the stripe. That's the best three-point percentage in the conference as well, and a plus 7.5 rebounding per game margin. And it's all because they got 4 double-digit scorers. We're going to be talking about the core 4 of John Tunis, Tegan Pearson, Jonathan Zapinski, and Ocean Johnson. They're all seasoned vets. They've shared the court together for so long, it feels like it's one cohesive unit. Johnson makes the highlights, but Zapinski at times, in my opinion, is the most dominant big in the conference.
You mentioned it already, Sam. You're going to have to count, folks, how many times we mentioned these 4 guys in our pregame show alone. You'll be hearing their names all evening long. When we look at the last Elmhurst contest, they got back in the winning column in a CCIW contest down in Decatur on the 3rd, Wednesday, just a few days ago. A 76-62 win against the Milliken Big Blue. And, Sam, it was a big second half that propelled the Jays to this victory.
This was a one-point game at halftime, 34-33, but then they held Milliken to just 29 second-half points. They opened up the scoring with a 17-4 run out of the half. As a team, they shot 47%, 43%, and 69% as a slash line, and they really outpaced Milliken from 3. The Big Blue only shot 38% from deep. The big surprise, though, was that they only had 1 more rebound than the Big Blue, but 7 fewer turnovers. And that Big 4, once again, accounting for 58 of the Jays' 76 points.
Yeah, when we look at the Big 4, John Tunis, he led the way with 16. Tegan Pearson at 16 as well to go with 9 rebounds. Jonathan Sapinski, let's just read it off. 13 points, 9 rebounds, and 6 blocks. And Ocean Johnson, 13 points and 5 steals. Active hands on defense for one of the main members of this Blue Jay backcourt. The season leaders, let's just talk about the 4 and what they've been averaging all season long. The senior guard, John Tunis, a team leading 18.1 points per game, shooting a team leading as well, 52.1% from the field and 43.2% from downtown, all leading marks on this Blue Jay squad. The senior guard, Tegan Pearson, he's got 14 points per game, shooting just over 42% from downtown, and an 82% free throw shooter leading the team in that mark. Ocean Johnson, on the other hand, 13 points per game, 5.5 rebounds, and a 48.5% shooter from the field. And the big man, the grad student center, Jonathan Zapinski, 10.2 points per game, nearly 8 boards a contest, 3.5 assists. Ironically enough, Sam leading the team in that category, and also 2.2 blocks per game. Looking at both teams by the numbers, Elmhurst enters this contest averaging just over 80 points per game, shooting as a team 48.8% from the field, 36.9% from downtown, and just over 70% at the charity stripe. They have a plus 13.7 scoring margin, opponents scoring 66.5 points per game against the Jays. And for the Cardinals, they got 66.4 points per game entering today, 41% from the field, 31.4% from three-point land. A better free throw shooting team than the Jays, 74.6% on the season with that minus 2.8 scoring margin. Opposing offenses putting up 69.2 points per game on this Cardinal defensive unit. And Sam, Cardinals coming off yet another conference win. This was at the Van Male Fieldhouse in Waukesha on Wednesday, a 68-57 win over the Carroll Pioneers.
And this was all about the rebounding. Cardinals had a rebounding advantage of 46-24. They had 12 second chance points on 16 offensive rebounds as well. They owned a 25-10 advantage in free throw attempts. This is another game and another Card stepping up with John Blumeyer, who's still out with that brace on his hand. Last year, we knew it would be the Hellwigs, and then a lot of it was question marks for who would be that third option. Now it feels like it could be anyone on any given game. Against IIT a couple of days ago, it was Tyler Swierczek, the freshman, but Drew Gaston, former All-American at the junior college level, had a big game against the Pioneers.
Yeah, Gaston tied the team in terms of points with 14. That was the lead. 6 rebounds and 2 steals for the guard. Ken Thomas, the transfer big man, had 14 points of his own to go with 5 boards and 2 steals as well. Tyler Swierczek, the freshman, he's had a nice couple of weeks here, 8 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists. And Ethan Helwig, Sam, 6 points, 9 boards. He was 1 of 9 from the field, 1 of 6 from downtown. And we've known this about Ethan for a couple of years now. He can get hot and cold really quick, something that we're definitely looking to see turn over into this game here today.
Well, again, the main thing is that having Ethan not play hero ball. When he does a good job of facilitating the offense and sharing the ball around the court, this team fires at all cylinders. There's times where Ethan will see that they're down and think, I've got to pull the trigger on a couple threes. And again, if it's one of those stretches where he is cold, it's just going to lead for turnovers and abilities for chances for Elmhurst to capitalize on misses.
Terrence Moncrief was in double figures for the Cardinals off the bench in their win over the Pioneers. He had 13. As a team, Cardinals shot 42.4% from the field, just 17.6 from downtown, only going 3 of 17 from three-point land. They made it to the charity stripe 25 times, knocked down 15 of those. You're doing the math at home, up to 60%. 24 bench points, 38 points in the paint, 11 points off turnover. They did lose the turnover battle, 12-11. Now we look at the most recent matchup between these two teams. Sam, you and I were sitting in these exact spots in the CCIW tournament back in February 21st to be exact. It was a heartbreaking 84-80 loss in this building. It was tied at half at 39. Matt Helwig, a career game, 33 points leading the way. Mitch Lewis had a double-double off the bench, 19 points and 10 boards. And for the Jays, how about Ocean Johnson? He had 28 points. Jonathan Sapinski posted 17, 7, 6, and 5 blocks. John Itunis, 9 points and 6 rebounds as well. And off the bench with significant minutes, Tegan Pearson had 14 points. Sam, Matt Helwig was incredible. He's on the bench today, just not suited up now. A member of the Cardinal coaching staff. His efforts fell just short.
Yeah, there's only so much North Central can do when the Jays shot the ball as well as they did. They were 34 of 60 from the field. That's 57%. And 50% from 3, going 9 of 18. And like you said, now the assistant coach for the Cards, Matt Helwig, did everything he could, 33 points, but only so much he could do when it comes to that game. But again, their efforts fell just short, and I was surprised to see how long North Central was in it, because the whole talk all season long is that North Central is on a Cinderella run and that how it's only Helwig. And now we saw that game go down to pretty much the final couple of minutes. This will be another good test for first-year head coach Vince Kamek.
Just a couple minutes away before the starting lineups get announced, and we're ready for tip-off here at Elmhurst University. Sam, what are your keys to this game and your matchup to watch?
It's got to be the mid-range game. Jonathan Sapinski, the big fella, will log some blocks today. If you space the floor and don't rely too much on scoring in the paint, you can space it out just a bit, give some different looks. North Central is going to be a lot better than where they are if they're trying to go in the paint. The other thing, too, keep up with the tempo. John Itunis and Ocean Johnson will play fast-paced. They're going to try and force you to keep up with their tempo. You need to match them while not forcing bad looks. And finally, limit the runs. Most games this year have felt similar, where North Central will heat up and then all of a sudden go ice cold, much like Ethan Helwig from beyond the arc. And it starts with Helwig, it seems like. My matchup to watch has to be Ken Thomas taking on Sapinski. Thomas is pretty much the main bully for this Cardinal team. We could see some sparing minutes of Jeff Hemmelgarn just because of the size logging up against Sapinski. But North Central starting 4 guards, and you can't rely on Ethan Helwig to face off against Sapinski down low. It's going to have to be up to Ken Thomas to limit Sapinski.
Back in February for bully ball, it was Mitch Lewis against Jonathan Sapinski. Sam, this time around it'll be Ken Thomas taking on the Elmhurst big man. Just about a minute away from the starting lineups being announced, it's John Baines' Elmhurst Blue Jays taking on Vince Kamek's North Central Cardinals. Some CCIW action coming your way momentarily here on FM 89.